we get a lot of ideas and we have to, we are creative and everything. And sometimes like that can almost feel overwhelming. And
Yeah.
so we kind of put ourselves in this box. So I feel like I actually really had to like go through this whole process to like really realize like this isn't what I want to be doing, which allowed me to then not even a full pivot, but just like slightly like adjust, like what is it when you're on, like you're looking at your like at Google Maps and you click the little thing that says like what is it? It's like, it's like get back on the course, it's like, you gotta
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
recenter or whatever, recenter or like go back.
Recenter.
And I felt like I
Yeah.
was just like drifting just a little bit. And then I
Yeah.
just had to like pull myself back and be like, Jen, what is it that you really want to doing? And I realized really as I looked back over my many years of running businesses,
Mhm.
it was running the business that I really enjoyed doing. It was the ideas and the
Mm.
branding and the messaging and the brainstorming and like those moments of inspiration and helping people find those moments of inspiration. That is what truly filled me up, and the building of communities and networks.
Welcome to Heart Parents. Let's connect with our kids and learn together. I'm Carrie. I was a former teacher and speech therapist. I'm also a parent of two spirited, gifted, highly sensitive kids. I was quickly brought to my knees as a parent when I thought that I would see a rosy lens version of parenting just as they present on Instagram, but I quickly learned that's not real life. I will provide real life experiences and transform them into moments for connections and change for you to use in your house. Hi there, and welcome back to Heart Parenting. I'm Carrie. I'm your friendly mom intuitive, and I have my friend and business coach for entrepreneurial moms, Jen Morris here. And I met Jen recently at a Renegade Motherhood event for mamas in business, and it was an amazing event. And not only was it amazing, and I met so many amazing moms in business out there, but I was also highly entertained with Jen. So it was so much fun. And I haven't laughed that hard for a while, which was also very fun. So, Jen, would
Oh,
you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I do think sometimes in motherhood we take things, we take things very seriously, and we need to have an outlet for some laughter too. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I have been an entrepreneur and for many, many years. And I'm also an actor. And so that was really like my first business was being an actor, and have built many different businesses over the course of the last, if you include my acting career, 20 years.
Mm.
And then I had my first daughter 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago, and
Mhm.
quickly realized like the game had changed. That
Yeah.
the way I was, doing business and running a business and all the things
Mm.
was, shifted with becoming a mother. And so flash forward a couple of years and another kid later, and I founded Renegade Motherhood and the Renegade Motherhood Business Society as a way to bring fellow entrepreneurial moms together to, yes, to laugh, to support each other, to brainstorm, to network, and really do it. I like to say, like, we do business like a mother.
Oh, I love that. That's a great slogan.
Thank you.
Yeah, because mothers, we are wearing a lot of hats, and in
Hmm.
businesses, we are wearing so many hats too. So I love that. That's a great slogan.
Thank
And
you.
the other day, you were telling me about your journey to get there, which you just gave us a little bit of it, a little scenario of it. And it was really enlightening to hear how you kind of had this one projection of where you were headed, and then you sort of just pivoted. And
Yeah.
I had a similar scenario where I was headed in one direction and then wasn't really feeling it in my heart and just pivoted and totally changed course and said, this is what my heart is wanting. So I
For you.
love how empowered you are as being a mom and doing this and wearing so many hats and also hearing your heart, which is amazing. I wanted to ask you about what your journey to get to Renegade Motherhood. How did that feel? What did that look like for you?
Yeah. So a lot of my time spent as a business owner has been in like the wellness and nutrition space. That was sort of just where things started, because that was something that many years ago I needed to put some focus into, because I had it, and then I had some health things come up, and oftentimes your business reflects like where you are in your life journey.
Mm.
And so that was like kind of the beginning for me. And this was, many, many years ago when I was living in New York City. And But that first, having that first business also really taught me like how to network, the power of getting in the room, the power of building relationships, the power of, positioning and confidence and public speaking and kind of giving that like elevator, pitch over and over and over again. And then other businesses started to come from there, other collaborations, other partnerships, other types of offerings and services and everything. And then, more recently, I kind of found myself on autopilot a little bit in some of the
Mm,
businesses that I had and feeling like, oh, I could, I could just keep doing this, but like I knew it was working with moms. I knew that was like
mm,
something I wanted to be doing. And I think because I had had a lot of success and stuff in the nutrition space, it just felt like that was the default. That was the box that was like easy to be in. And the Renegade Motherhood actually came. I started kind of realizing about 2 years ago, I got really sick, and I was sick for about a month, about a year and a half ago. And I was just totally, I think, wiped out from having a second baby at the height of COVID and like everything that included. And just really like my body was just like telling me like to take a break. And
mm,
so during that time, I actually was kind of just scrolling Facebook and stumbled up upon somebody who I knew sort of like I was acquaintances with her. And she was talking about like this program she offered, like getting you back into your feminine energy and all this stuff that half of me was like, oh my God, please, like, what is this? And then half of me was just like, this is exactly what you need, Jen. And so I listened to
mhm.
that part of me and I reached out to her. Her name is Stephanie. And I reached out to her and I was just like, I don't know what it is about this, but like I feel like I need to talk to you. So I ended up doing some work with her. And a lot of that was just about getting out of like the constant doing and the constant hustle and the constant sort of masculine way of like running a business and
Yeah.
really getting back to like who you are, your essence. And I think as moms, we often really lose sight of that because we have this massive identity shift that happens when we become a mother.
Mm,
And on top of just all the physical and mental things as well that happen, and so I was really kind of having to recover from a lot of that and really, again, like rediscover who I was. So the Renegade Motherhood piece actually came like I was at a day retreat with her and we were doing kind of a guided meditation that was about something else kind of, but just in the middle of it, just like it just dropped in and I just heard like Renegade
wow.
Motherhood and I'd been trying to come up with sort of words to what it is that like was like the essence of the brand I wanted to create and the community. And it just like fell in. And afterward, there was a group of us there, and I just said like Renegade Motherhood, and everyone just like turned and like looked at me and was like, yes, because they knew me and they knew like
Wow.
what I'd been looking for. And then at first, I thought that was going to be kind of again working in nutrition, working in postpartum, continuing that journey. And I even got to the point where I like launched a program, a community, and everything, like a paid
Wow.
membership. And as soon as I did it, I was just like, nope.
Wow.
Isn't it? And I think it's important to talk about that because I think like
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and moms and especially like I was diagnosed ADHD when I was 40. And I
Mm,
think like we get a lot of ideas and we have to,
yeah.
we are creative and everything. And sometimes like that can almost feel overwhelming. And
Yeah.
so we kind of put ourselves in this box. So I feel like I actually really had to like go through this whole process to like really realize like this isn't what I want to be doing, which allowed me to then not even a full pivot, but just like slightly like adjust, like what does it mean you're on like you're looking at your like at Google Maps and you click the little thing that says like what is it? It's like, it's like get back on the course, it's like you gotta
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
recenter or whatever, recenter or like go back.
Recenter.
And I felt like I
Yeah.
was just like drifting just a little bit. And then I just
Yeah.
had to like pull myself back and be like, Jen, what is it that you really want to doing? And I realized really as I looked back over my many years of running businesses,
Mhm.
it was running the business that I really enjoyed doing. It was the ideas and the
Mm,
branding and the messaging and the brainstorming and like those moments of inspiration and helping people find those moments of inspiration. That is what truly filled me up, and the building of
wow.
communities and networks. Not and the fact that it was in nutrition was cool, but that wasn't actually it. And I think I had sort of
Mm,
told myself that was it.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been a journey. And I think it's important to talk about that too, because oftentimes we think like if you build a successful business that like you just stay in that lane forever. But if you really look at people who have built, just brands and built these
Mhm.
empires, like they have built a lot of different, lots of times it's in different
Yeah.
markets, it's in different, industries. it's okay to do that. It's okay to adjust. It's okay to like try something new, and to really follow your instincts and not just do what you're doing because it's expected of you.
I love that so much. I think that journey is so beautiful. And I myself have been on a similar journey. I have a background in speech therapy and I
Mhm.
was a teacher previously for elementary kids. And I've definitely pivoted and followed my heart to find what brings me passion. And this is my year. My word for 2024 is passion. And it's following what my heart wants and what I want. And I called Heart to Heart Parents my passion project when I originally started. So I totally resonate with what you're saying, and it's amazing. I always feel like there's never things we have learned that they always help us in another way. And maybe we don't see it yet. And I'm sure that your nutrition piece is going to come out in some way too. Like there's never
Sure. Yeah, it's still a
unused
piece for
info.
sure. Yeah.
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 It's
So,
just another, it's another line now, but it's not like the main focus,
yeah.
anymore. And so it'll still
Yeah.
be there, but not in a way that it has to be like center stage, the way it
Exactly.
was. So yeah.
Yeah, I love your center stage references as well. Those are very fitting. But yeah, I see you as such a powerhouse and a change maker in this local society that has been really beneficial. And it really helped me to feel empowered when I was there as well. So
Oh,
love
wonderful.
that. Yeah. And also not settling for the mundane, but going for what our heart is feeling is really
Yeah.
powerful. And it definitely can feel hard to do that as a woman in a masculine era. So I feel like there's this huge piece of society that is slowly shifting into this version of rewarding the feminine energy and
Hmm.
feeling empowered. And so it's the perfect time, I feel like, for you to be going through
Thank you.
this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting. It has been cool seeing some of the shifts and knowing there's a lot more work to be done.
Yeah.
But really wanting to fully step into that conversation and everything is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also very entertaining too. I enjoy that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's as I went to your program, I was really excited because I got to meet a lot of people and I feel like social connections and community is a huge piece of what you are doing. And there was almost this like good vibe tribe there. It was just support for each other. And have you found that this helps you to grow as a mom or as an entrepreneur?
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely road, and then motherhood can be an equally lonely road. And so I think when you put
Mm-hmm.
the two together, it's like, and now so many more people are, just working from home or, working kind of hybrid careers as well. And so, it's really important to put yourself in the room, with people who carry similar visions. I was actually at a conference over the weekend that was all about like branding and networking and everything. It was in Atlanta, so it was people from all over. Some people even came in from like the UK and stuff. It was really cool. And it was just such a reminder of, you can meet one person and it can change the trajectory of your career, in a positive
Mm-hmm.
way, but you're not going to meet that person probably from just like staying home and recording TikTok reels, all day long. I'm a little bit of a voice of dissent around that, which has been a journey for me too, because I know there are people who I really greatly respect who are just like killing it on social media and everything.
Sure.
But
Sure.
but I also really believe, I mean, I've truly like built my network and my business like through like meeting people in person.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not that person, it's like somebody else they know and refer me to. And I just don't think you can replace that.
Yeah.
And so it's because it's and I think sometimes we approach networking the wrong way as well. We go into it this like what's in it for me thing. I'm going there to get
Mm.
something for me. I'm going there to get
Yeah.
business instead of like what what am I, here to learn, or who am I here to meet?
Yeah.
Networking, I think, again, in sort of a masculine way, it's very transactional,
Mm.
versus like actually what it really means, like to like expand your network. It's not like,
Yeah.
I call mine like I don't call it like a sales, like group. It's like it's a networking group. It's you're there to meet people and
Yeah.
see what the similarities are and see where there are opportunities to explore, yes, business and stuff like that, but sometimes it's something different, and that's amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
So really trying to like create community. And I do believe mothers, do business differently. And so to put a group of not only entrepreneurs, but also moms in a group, there's understanding. Like if you show up and you are late, people understand, like it's okay. Like I'm late because my kid was up throwing up all night, or or drop off didn't go as well as I
Mhm.
expected, or I spilled coffee all over my shirt, sorry. It's sort of like I call it a sorry free zone, like come and
Mm.
we're constantly apologizing. I think,
Yes.
as
Yes.
moms, we're constantly like trying to kind of be something that maybe we're not, because we think it's like we need to put on a show. And so trying to create a safe space to like kind of just bring the messiness of it and know that there's so much magic
Yeah.
in this messiness. We just have to show up and,
Yeah.
not worry about like wearing a business suit, just show, come as you are. So.
Yes, that's true. I remember your chat on that. That was amazing. Like, come and be comfortable in you, the version of you that you want to be. And I love that when I was there, I was having a rough morning with my kids, and
Mm,
I was able to say, hey, I have a couple of 2E kids at home that are mine. And I had a really hard morning. So it was nice to be in a
yeah.
group of moms and just kind of breathe as I'm feeling shaky because it's a new environment for me. It's the first time I've done something like that in person instead of online. And I had a rough morning, so I'm not in the same headspace I would normally be. So it was awesome to be around moms like that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just think there's enough like guilt, there's enough competition, there's enough of all of that that you can find that anywhere, right? So
Hmm.
I'm all about
Yeah.
like how can we remove that stuff and
Yes.
just like accept people for where we are and the journey that we are, and it's not here to like look a certain way, and it's definitely not here to look like, perfect. It's just like um I mean, just the fact that like you were able to like show up
Hmm.
despite like the obstacles
Yeah.
and then feel like seen and heard. Like
Yeah.
there's so much beauty in that, right? Because then that can
Yeah.
create like more confidence, and then it
Yes.
can allow, you or the person to go out and like, have more confidence when they're making like a sales offer, or when they're asking that person to be a guest on the podcast. So it's this
Yeah.
ripple effect. But it has
Yeah.
to come from a place of like authenticity first. Otherwise,
Yes.
I've been to so many events where I'm just like, this was just not, it just
Mm.
it didn't feel real. It didn't feel authentic. I didn't feel like necessarily like safe in the space, like safe to be
Mm.
me.
Yep.
And then that's, like that has this negative, kind of impact that happens. And you go into self-doubt and you go
Yeah.
into like, well, I should have worn the other thing, or wow, I don't, maybe I do need to go look a certain way or have this certain kind of haircut or shoes. And and
Yeah.
and then it's like this opposite effect instead of just like celebrating truly who you are, and the
Yes.
morning that you had, and knowing that like you're in good company.
Yes. And I like to show that sometimes on Instagram because
Hmm.
it's this dim lighted perfect version of motherhood, perfect version of what being a woman looks like. Like if you act like this, life's gonna be perfect, right? And
Hmm.
I do this Crunchy Mama series where I talk about there's this role that society thinks I should look like in the area that I live in. And I love to I wear the Birkenstocks because they're comfortable, but just busting the seams and changing the role and not having to live in that perfect version of ourselves and just being true to who we are has been really helpful. Have
Yeah.
you found anything that you like to do in self-care that helps to keep you grounded with all of the social media pieces and society?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely like a lot of the work that I mentioned that I've done with like, just in like kind of this healing work in groups of women has been
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
Giving myself more time for like the quiet. And I have to
Mm.
create that for me, that I am not someone that's like, I'm going to sit down and meditate. And so like knowing that I'm plugged into this group, and that when I go to those things, that's going to be present, it's like
Mm.
it's a good way for me to like set up some, kind of accountability around that.
Yeah.
But self-care for me too is probably maybe a little different than how some people think of it. I have an acting background, I have a musical theater
Mm-hmm.
background, I love to sing, and I wasn't finding a lot of time or opportunities to do it after I had kids. And so
Right.
I joined a choir that,
Yeah.
was launched and at an arts nonprofit down the street from me. And so like I go to that on Tuesday nights from 5 to 7, and I sing, and there's some amazing women in the group, and we become
Wow.
friends. And like, so that to me is like it, really, really essential for my mental health. And I joined the board of that arts nonprofit because
Mm.
something that is for me a form of self-care is like, how can I also like pay forward my privilege and,
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
you know, and try to, you know, leave a little bit of a legacy, you know, with an organization. So I joined the board, and it's been really cool to be able to like get involved and help, you know, fundraise and increase visibility and that kind of a thing. And, you know, some people, you know, I do joke sometimes about it. That's like my unpaid internship and stuff like that. Cause it is work and, you know, and it's a
Yeah.
juggling act, but it's just, it fills my cup in a way too.
Yeah.
Um, and then, you know, even like my business is a form of self-care.
Mm.
I love the work I do. I love the conversation I have. You're the third person today, like from that community
Wow.
that I've been in touch with today. I had coffees with two others this morning, and
Wow.
you know, and it feels great to like do work with people who you genuinely enjoy being in a room with, you know, or in a Zoom room
Mhm.
with, and know that like, you know, even just having a conversation, you know, hopefully like gave them a little clarity and
Mhm.
a little more confidence and,
Yes.
you know, having it be like a win-win. So like, you know, my business, I mean, not all pieces of it, right? Like I outsource the bookkeeping. Like there's pieces that I'm like, I don't want to touch. It's not
Yep.
my zone of genius.
Yeah.
It does not feel like self-care to me and I've started to have a better like kind of radar for that too, like stuff that
Mhm.
I used to do because I thought like I had to do it. I've now kind of started to be like, okay, what is the work I really love to do that's going to like, you know, yes, like put dollars in my pocket and stuff like that and increase brand visibility and make me happy and like do that and not feel like I have to be doing every single thing else too, because that's when, you know, business starts to really feel like a chore and a job and it's very easy for it to then start to feel, you know, you start to almost resent your business
Mhm. Yes.
instead of why so many people start a business, right? So
Yeah.
that's been a big learning for me too, learning how to, you know, delegate and outsource what I can in a way that economically makes sense too.
Yeah.
But trying to at least, you know, 70% of the time doing the part that I love, because ultimately that's where the ROI is, you know, for me, for
Yeah.
my mental health, for my financial health and everything
Yeah.
else.
I love that. I was trying to get all of my ducks lined up in a row as I was looking to launch my podcast and getting the website and all of these pieces. And my husband came to me and he's like, Carrie, stop trying to line up all the ducks. Just you have these recordings, just like launch and go and worry
Yes.
about all the details later. Like do the
Build the
part
plane
you
in the
love.
air. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
good advice from your husband. I know, because I think again, that's a part of like, you know, we get on social media and we hear from all these
mhm.
talking heads about all the systems you have to have and all the different
Yeah.
software platforms and
Yeah.
everything. And for some people that's great, you know, but I
hmm
think for other people
Sure.
it makes you stop.
Yeah.
I had a podcast that I did over COVID as sort of part business, part, you
Mm.
know, just kind of happiness experiment. And
Yeah.
at first it was like great. And then I just started like thinking, oh, I need to like monetize this and it needs to sound a certain way and it should sound like this. And all of a sudden, like one podcast episode was taking me like hours to edit. And I was like,
Oh,
this
geez.
is not, this
Whew.
isn't good. This isn't good. And so I had to
No.
just totally like stop and step away because I was just going down this rabbit hole of like, this is not
hmm
healthy
Yeah.
because I thought it's what I had to do.
Yeah.
But what I know to be true is when I was able to really step back and look back at all the times that I've been happiest in my business, you know, businesses, career, and the most, like getting the most wins was when I was again kind of building that plane in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
you can spend all the time building the plane, and if you don't like have fuel to put in it, it's not going to go anywhere, right? But if
That's
you
true.
have some momentum, you just kind of launch and then you figure it out as you go based on
Mm.
the feedback that you're getting. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of I feel like used to be the way that like
Mm.
entrepreneurship was sort of done. Like when I kind of first started, it was, but then like with the, you know, social media becoming what it is and all these funnels and things that are supposed to make it easier for you. It can, but oftentimes you have to have a team of people that can be doing all that work. Otherwise, you can spend all of your time doing that
Yeah.
stuff and none of the time doing the stuff you actually really love.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm saying the things that everyone else would be like, she's wrong, but I'm
hmm
based on my experience and I can only speak to my own experience,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And for moms too, like we're trying to do all the things and we can't do all the things. We can't,
Yes. No, no.
So a lot of people are saying, just, oh, just build a business as a mom and then you'll have freedom.
Mhm.
And everybody wants freedom. But when you really
Mhm.
boil it down, I start to ask people, well, how much freedom do you actually have? It's like, I have no freedom because every single moment is either my kids or my business because I feel like I should be doing it this way instead
Yeah.
of like doing it in a way that actually aligns with your goals and the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which only you can decide.
Yeah.
So that's been a big learning for me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And when it doesn't feel right, like stop that piece of the puzzle. I had to throw throw in my coin and say I'm done with certain pieces of social media because it was really hard on my heart for times. Just I really had to
Yeah.
just pivot and switch on my focus of what I really
Yeah.
enjoyed. And yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that. That's so true. And I have to share something. I love using the podcast to help me find my voice, which is healing from my inner childhood. And when
Uh-huh.
you mentioned the singing in the choir, I was like, oh, that's been in my closet of something I would love to do one day. But
Yeah,
voice is not anything
totally.
that's in my formal background. That is
And that's
you.
okay. That's okay. There's a lot of people in the choir who like were like, I sang in middle school choir and I
Oh.
haven't sang since. And but that's the beauty. I mean, that's the beauty of the community, right? Like
Yeah.
if you were like, I've never sung before, I wouldn't
Hmm.
say, let's go try to do a show at Carnegie Hall, a solo act, right? Like that's probably not the first step, or let's
No.
go try to be on America's Got Talent, right? But it's like plugging into a group and a community
Hmm.
where you can like, have guidance and support to like find your
Yeah.
voice and see where that is for you. Are you a soprano or are you an alto,
Yeah.
in a safe, brave place.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the power of of community right there. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it can be a community in a choir, it can be a community in a professional networking group, it can be, a friend community, but we don't have to we can do scary things and they're like less scary when you're in like a supportive community where you are
Yeah.
like, oh God, I never sang before this choir either. Like, oh, it's not just me. Cool,
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love that.
finding space for that. And if, someone's listening to this and they're like, I really would love like a group of moms, but I'm just not finding, sometimes you find a community, it's not the right community. And like, if you
Hmm.
know, like, this is not the kind of
Yeah.
people, like, then you gotta be willing to like kind of walk away and exit a
Yeah.
situation in order to like find, the people who actually resonate or build it. I mean, for me, I couldn't really find it. So I built it because I was like, I can't find what I'm really looking for. So
Mm.
I'm going to build it because chances are there's also people like
Yep.
me. And so I just need to start it so that they can find it. And together
Yeah.
we can grow it. And there's
Yeah.
beauty in that too, of like
Yeah.
knowing I'm not the only one who's feeling this way. I know there's more of me out there. I just need to be the one to like start it.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's awesome. And yeah, I love does the acting that you do does this is kind of switching gears, but I was
Yeah.
curious if it helps you to build any creative skills or does that help you with your mindfulness piece? I'm asking because my son really enjoys acting and I've always thought for these kids that are really spirited and gifted, like does this bring in pieces that help us just be in tune with ourselves?
For me, yes. I mean,
Mm.
I really was always the one wanting to like, put on my mom's old dance costumes and just like parade around in the living room. But I was actually a really shy kid and I had some health things
Mm.
going on when I was younger. And so I missed a lot of school and everything. And so I think because of that, and then the messaging I received from others about being weird and everything, because I wasn't in school and da da da, it made me kind of like retreat and get smaller.
Oh,
But in high school, I, auditioned for my first show, and there was an amazing theater teacher, Larry Coleman, and he,
wow.
gave me an opportunity as a freshman in high school to do like a supporting role in a comedy, and that was it. I was hooked because it just was like it was a place to play. It was a place to like, yes, put myself in other people's shoes and tell other people's stories, but by doing that, also like truly express who I am. And I think
Mm.
that's the beauty of like performing arts. Like, yes, we're telling other people's
Uh,
stories, but we're doing it by like truly showing like our essence as a human. And that totally changed my life. I mean, theater completely changed my life for sure. Larry passed away not long
Mhm.
after I moved to New York City, but I will forever be grateful for him because he, like just kind of saw this shy kid, and I really found my voice through
Wow.
the stage. And it taught me other things like how to handle rejection because most of performing a theater, career is you do not book
Oof.
most of what you audition for. So really having to come to terms with rejection and like how to not take things really personally and how to pivot and
Yeah.
evolve and learn new skills and also kind of have boundaries around like right now I still do some commercial work. I have an agent in Denver and
Mm.
I do book things sometimes and then there's other things that I'll get sent to me and I look at it and I kind of do the math in my head around like okay, this amount of time's gonna have to go in just to the audition.
Mhm.
Then if I book it, it's this. And I'm like, you know what? This is not enough money.
Mhm.
And to be able to really like, and if I
Wow.
didn't have the entrepreneurship background that I did, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do that. I would still be in that sense of like anything that pays, I'll take. But now I'm able to really kind
Mm.
of like have this just like honest conversation with myself of like, okay, why is it that I want this? Is it my ego saying like, oh, I want this for my ego?
Yeah.
Financially, what's it like? What's the impact it's gonna have on my family? And also just like, is it a brand I believe in? Is it not?
Mhm.
I mean, there's that kind of
Yeah.
ethical piece of it too. And so, yeah, like just I've learned a lot through my acting
Yeah.
background, and it's definitely been a gift. Even the hard times have been a gift for helping me like get to where I am now. So
Yeah.
there's so much creativity that can be gleaned, but I also think,
Mhm.
if you look at some of the smartest business owners out there, like Jessica Alba and
Mhm.
who are some of the other ones who have, these
Yeah.
J-Lo and
Yeah.
Rihanna, they have all these,
Yep.
brands. And I truly believe it's Taylor Swift. I mean, God, you want to look at
Mhm.
an entrepreneur?
Oh yeah.
Taylor Swift is
Yeah.
like a master class in
Oh
how to
yeah.
build a brand and a business. And
Yeah.
she's really done it too. I mean, I give her,
Yeah.
whether you like her or not, I like some of
Mhm.
her music. I'm not a Swiftie, but
Sure.
like I respect who she is.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I think that's a piece that also isn't talked about enough, the kind of like business savviness that can come from a
Mm.
creative background.
Love it.
Yes, creativity, but also this sort of a different way of thinking that, you can't really teach in like an MBA program.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with that. And I wouldn't have known that you were a shy child. I too was a shy child, but I wouldn't have known. That's so empowering for children to learn from and to grow like that. And I love that you went on that journey for yourself and you found that. And I'm hoping to find that for my kids too. Do you ever share your journeys and some of these pieces that you've grown with your own kids? Do you
oh
share
yeah, yeah, we talk about
examples?
it a lot. I mean, my
Yeah.
my oldest is 7, and she's a deeply feeling child.
Hmm.
She's a lot like me, a lot like I was as a kid. My mom is always kind of like, she's just like you. And I see it as she gets older, I see it more and more. And
Hmm.
as a mother, it's like it's beautiful and painful, when you see your
Yeah.
kid struggling with, these sort of like
Hmm.
big life questions and some anxiety and fear
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so, where she's been on some stages and she's actually kind of like, I really like being an audience member, Mom. I don't know that I
Oh.
want to be on stage now. And
Hmm.
looking back, I didn't want to be at that age either. I wouldn't have wanted to be in front of
Hmm.
a group of people at age 7. And so I think
Okay.
it's been interesting to kind of really sit with that for myself because when I grew up in the 80s, I don't know. There was just not as much of a push of like getting your kids involved in like all the activities like right away.
Mm.
It was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there weren't these kind of like theater schools like down the street
Yeah.
from me in suburban
Yeah.
Ohio. So it wasn't until high school that there was even an opportunity really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in like really talking openly with my kids, with my girls.
Hmm.
They sometimes struggle when I have a board meeting or I have choir practice or a conference and they're like, why are you leaving us again? And I
Oh.
have had to really learn to say, like, you know, I want to be the best mom I can be to you. And part of that is like is really making sure that I'm doing things that fill me up too. And you girls make me so happy, and I love you so much, and
Oh,
you're my heart. But there are other things too that make me really happy,
mm,
and singing makes me really happy, and spending time with my friends, just like you like to have play dates and play with your friends. Like moms need that too.
yeah.
And sometimes it means going to have to travel because I get to learn things for my business that's going to help us as a family. And being able to really say that and not apologize for it. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and this last conference, I ended up coming home a little bit early because my oldest was struggling, and I was able to do
Mm,
that. But I was able to kind of balance the ambition and the motherhood piece and do it in a way
yeah.
that it was a win for everybody. And it's not always easy. And like when my daughter was
Yeah.
really crying and unhappy on the phone the night before I
Oh,
came home, like it was really hard.
yeah.
But to know that like she's also learning from me subconsciously about what it looks like to like
Yeah.
take care of yourself and
Yeah.
and be a happy,
Yeah.
fulfilled mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got that from my mom too. I mean, my mom mirrored that to me as well, which you don't really know at the time, right? But as you get
Yep.
older, you start to look
Yep.
back and you're like, damn, my mom was really good at that.
So many
And I never
skills.
felt neglected. I mean, I
Yeah.
always felt like she was there. And I'm like, how did she do all that? Because I know she wasn't always there because she was doing all this other stuff too, but I never
Mm,
felt like I was an afterthought or second, ever. And
yeah.
so it was,
Yeah.
yeah, I am in awe of what she did. But
Yeah.
but anyway, I think it's important to talk about that openly and not
Yeah.
necessarily just go into like, oh, I'm a bad mom because I'm leaving my kids. It's like, no, it's just like yeah, there are
Yeah.
seasons. There are seasons. So
Yeah. There's definitely seasons to
yeah,
all of their growth.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so you mentioned that she was sensitive, and do you designate as a highly sensitive person too?
I would say I'm a bit of like a recovering, highly sensitive
There you
person.
go.
Because of a lot of the work I've done, I used to really internalize a lot of the rejection and everything that
Mm,
talked about
yeah.
theater, and took it very personally to the point that
Wow.
like everything really did deeply upset me and everything. And I've been really working on finding more like just inner peace and inner happiness, and like letting go of the stuff I can't control.
Mm,
Which doesn't mean sticking my head in the sand about like all of the atrocities that happen around us every single day.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but still finding time for like the gratitude and the connection, and like trying to be more
Yeah.
present. And I
Yeah.
think through, and it's hard. I'm not
The
going to sit
work.
back and act like I have it all figured out by any means, because it is a constant, it's a practice.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I spent the first couple years of motherhood and during COVID and everything just being very
Mm,
angry at just politically and
hmm.
all the injustice and everything. And now it's like,
Yep.
okay, what can I do to be a piece of the positive solution and not just like stick my head in the ground? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's important to me too, to not just sit back and be like, well, I'm a white woman, what can I do? I've joined a book club that's about, becoming
Mm,
a better white woman and working on
wow.
our, inner racism and like
That's great.
addressing it head on. And it's been really hard work.
Mm,
And also realizing like, how can I address this in my business, and not just ignore it? And how can I create space,
yeah.
for these conversations, and for, um, uh, and how can I make a lot of money so I can also like solve problems that way, or
Hmm.
address problems that way?
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that, moms are the change makers, as you mentioned before. And like,
Mm,
and if you get more moms making more money, we can do a lot of really good things with that. We can
mm,
do a lot of really good things with that. And I think that's a conversation we're not often talking about enough.
interesting.
We're always like, oh, there's these wealth discrepancies and everything. And like all these, a lot of white men have a lot more money and stuff like that. And there is these gap, and I can't solve all that, right?
Hmm.
But I can say, can we talk about it more? Let's celebrate when we're making money. Let's not be ashamed or embarrassed about it. Let's charge what we're worth. If you're going to charge, if you're going to have a fee, like stop giving away everything for free. Stop discounting your
Uh,
services. Like,
yeah.
because when a mom in my group is like, has a great month and makes a lot of money doing like important work, like that's a win for
Hmm.
all of us.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
think that's a win for
community.
all of us.
Yeah.
And because I know that like some of that money I just know is going to go to a nonprofit, or it's going to go
Mhm.
to, you know, a cause, or it's going to, because I really
Yeah.
believe that not all of us, but a lot of, you know, a lot of moms truly do want to see the world, you know, improve, and are willing to
Yep.
put our money where our mouth is when we have the funds. So
Yeah.
I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but
I love it. I love it being the change that we want to see, not focusing on the
Mhm.
negative or the aspects that we don't want to see, but focusing on the positive and the changes and changing our mindset from I wish this part wasn't happening to let's see this happen. So we're changing our mindset from what we don't want to see to what the positive version, what we do want to see.
Yeah.
And I love that you're
Yeah.
doing that. And it may be one person, but I think one person creates that change and starts that cycle. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're doing that through your
Yeah. I mean,
community
I'm
space.
just sort of like, okay, if there's organizations doing really important work, I want to be able to support those organizations. And so I can do
Mm-hmm.
that with time, right? And
Yeah.
so I can get more time by having more income, because income can buy you time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, or I can do that through giving generously.
Mm-hmm.
But the, you know, and my business allows me to leverage and to earn more income. And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, instead of just feeling mad, like how can I channel some of that into like my greater purpose, and also, you know, help in the way I can help. So I'm not just talking about something that's upsetting me. I'm also trying to take some meaningful action, and it's not perfect, and it's not, you know, there's still a
Mm-hmm.
lot of unlearning I need to do and everything. But I feel like for
Mm-hmm.
a long time I was just stuck in that sort of anger mode, and
Mm.
nothing really good happened during
Yeah.
that time, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It
yeah,
was rough.
yeah, yeah,
I think it was a rough period for a lot of us. So it's
yeah.
amazing to see so much progress and so much change and toward the positive version. And I think we're in that era of change, which is awesome.
I
And
hope
I
so. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. I love connecting with other change makers and people that are not willing to just sit and watch things. They're willing to take a chance and try to make changes for our kids, for ourselves, for everyone working together. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
been such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm truly honored to have you
Likewise.
here, Jen. I love what you're doing and it's so fun to be able to connect in that locally. It's been really great for me. Can you tell us how everyone can find you?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of like having an Instagram identity crisis, like moving some things around. So I'm like, what should I say for Instagram today? I don't even know. You can go
Oh
to
my gosh.
renegademotherhoodlife.com, and that
Okay.
is where, if you are local to the Boulder County, kind of Denver metro area, you can find information about events.
Mm-hmm.
And then this summer, in the next couple of weeks, I will be rolling out a digital community as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be for any mom in business who wants to connect with, you know, other moms doing the same thing, for
Mm-hmm.
learning, for networking, for ideas, and kind of the collective,
Yeah.
like, you know, brainstorming and everything. And so that's going to be coming soon. I am taking
Great.
my own. I'm practicing what I preach, and I'm building the plane in the air, and I'm really excited about it because I know it's needed.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of stay tuned about all that stuff on renegademotherhoodlife.com or meetjenmorris.com as well. And
Okay.
yeah, follow me. I don't even know. I'm like, what are my Instagrams right now? Because I'm just moving things around. And so yeah, you can go to the websites, and that's where everything will be.
Yeah, I'm in the process too. I launched an Instagram and then I'm like, well, that's not the name I wanted, but it's out there
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
I get
And I'm
it.
like, I don't know that it even really matters anymore. But yeah, but
Yeah,
there we go.
that's great. Yeah, a work in progress right now with Instagram.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll put it in the show notes and that way people can connect. And yeah, thanks so much
Awesome.
for being here, Jen.
Thanks for having me. I love the conversation, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yes, agreed.
Thanks so much for following along with us on our Heart to Heart Parents podcast journey. I'm Carrie, and I am here to ask you for a quick favor. If you've enjoyed today's episode, would you be sure to review us, rate us, and give us a follow on any platform that you're using to listen to this podcast. Also, we love when you share it with a friend. That's super helpful. One other thing we would love is if you would love to contact and reach out with us. We now have an email. It's info@hearttoheartlife.com. Have a great week.